I finally watched Bezos, and I have to say it's not too bad. This was released in 2023. It's directed by Khoa, and it's written by Allison, Burnett, and RV Romero, and it's based on the book Zero to Hero by Tashena, Ebanks, and we have a cast including Armando Gutierrez as Jeff Bezos. And I have to say, I don't have any strong opinions on Bezos as a person. I know some people admire him, some people hate him. I'm kind of in the middle, and I am an Amazon user. I do use Amazon, so that's kind of why I was interested in the film. I was more interested in the Amazon aspect, the origins of Amazon, than I was of Bezos' life. And I feel like it really delivered on that count. It looks at how he came to have the idea for Amazon and what happened as a result of that. It's a very dry film. I really feel Bezos' passion in this. But other than that, it's quite a dry film. It's quite slow. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. And I don't have a terrible issue with the length, but it could have been a little bit shorter and a little bit quicker. But it did feel like a little snapshot of history. I did feel like we went back in time. And I vaguely remember the dawn of internet shopping. I was born in 92, got my first computer, family computer, in 2000. Probably didn't order anything online until, oh gosh, maybe like 2007, 2008. I feel like it probably would have been eBay the first thing I ordered. I don't know, but certainly I find it to be an interesting time period. I have vague memories of this time. Not quite as far back as 94 when Amazon was founded, but generally around about there. So for me, little snapshot of history, really thoroughly enjoyed that part of it. I think the main reason I was interested in it, though, is because I do shop on Amazon. And I had no real knowledge of the history. Obviously, I was aware of Bezos and how it came about, but I wasn't aware of any of the roadblocks or anything. And assuming the film is accurate, I found it to be quite educational and quite fascinating. So had it been about a brand or a website I didn't care about, and I was just watching it because I do love films that are about how brands or companies are founded, how they come about. I just think they're so fascinating and often so fun. I wouldn't say this one was fun, but definitely fascinating. But had it been about a website I don't use, I still would have watched it out of curiosity, but there wouldn't have been that element of, oh, this is what happened, to give me the convenience of shopping on Amazon. And to learn about the backstory is something that I found to be a really interesting experience. What I would have liked is more information about the aftermath. I will tell you in a moment how the film ends, or kind of where in the timeline it ends. So I guess this is a spoiler for what happens towards the end, but it's a true story. It's kind of difficult to spoil in that regard. I'll talk about that in a moment because I have a brief thought. But in general, it's a dry film. It's quite a slow film, but it's still a fascinating concept. If you're interested in the history of Amazon, absolutely give it a go. If you want to know a lot about Bezos' personal life, yes, there is, of course, an element in there, but it is certainly more so, in my opinion, looking at the Amazon side of things, which is what I expected. Although, in that case, maybe the film should have been called Amazon rather than Bezos. There is a lot of him in this, of course. So, in general, it was a good experience. I think it could have been better, but ultimately, I still enjoyed it, and I'm happy enough to recommend it. So, the last thing I have to say, at the very end of the film, they are beta testing the site, which is obviously a very exciting time for them. But I would, just another 10 minutes of what happens next. Because I feel like, and this is just my interpretation, I feel like it was assumed that the audience knows what happens next. And what the life of Amazon is like from that point until, let's say, present day. But I was 2 when Amazon was founded. So I don't remember the early years of Amazon. And it would have been interesting to see how quickly they picked up customers, how quickly it rose through the ranks, any obstacles to overcome, the changes in, shipping and things. I remember once upon a time there was very different shipping, and I'm sure there was also a time where if you selected non-priority shipping, so if you didn't get next day delivery, you got like £1 back or something, in the UK, of course. I don't know what I'm thinking of. There was definitely something like that. So a little bit more about the journey after the fact would have been really interesting, and they could have had the time for it because they definitely could have quickened up some other aspects of the film. But that being said, it's a minor, not even a complaint, more of just a this would have made it a better experience. But nevertheless, I still thought Bezos was an interesting film. I learned quite a bit. And if it's a film for you, if you think it will appeal to you, then I'm happy to recommend it.